What do you guys think about Kodansha Godzilla? How strong is he? Is he stronger than Final Wars, Monsterverse, or any live-action Godzilla? So, today I'm going to talk about how strong Kodansha Godzilla is. Now, this manga is actually based on the movies, and it's also an alternate timeline of the Heisei era. The manga events are set after the Godzilla vs. Mothra movie, which means we can use the previous Heisei scaling from 1984 to 1992. Although its Volume 1 came out a few weeks before the original movie, but still it's an adaptation of the original one, so we still can use this, and the Godzilla vs. Mothra Kodansha manga shares many similarities with it. This means it's fair to use that scaling for this version of Heisei. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. In Chapter 1, we see Godzilla fighting against Baragon, who is made from the cells of the original Baragon from the Frankenstein movie. Now this clone is actually created by a mad scientist who wants to conquer the entire world with the help of these clones. And we see Godzilla fighting the same clone monsters throughout the entire manga. This manga is actually a composite timeline of the Showa and Heisei movies, as we see the existence of both Showa and Heisei movie events like Son of Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Biollante, Terror of Mechagodzilla, etc. This means we can use the scalings from both eras, except for the Destroy All Monsters movie because it is set in the year of 1999, and the last Heisei movie takes place 3 years before this event. And Kodansha's timeline takes place after the 1993 Godzilla vs. Mothra. However, we later see Baragon inflict deep wounds on Godzilla's chest, but then Godzilla breaks off his horn with his bare hands and easily kills him with his atomic breath. This version of Baragon is the most powerful, as he has wounded Godzilla, which upscales his Showa and Heisei counterparts. Then in Chapter 2, we see Godzilla in a 1v2 fight against Megalon and Biollante. Initially, they both overpower Godzilla in a few pages, but later, with the help from humans, Godzilla easily killed them. Both of these kaijus were made from the cells of the original Biollante and Megalon, meaning they scales to their original selves. Now, Megalon was Godzilla's strongest enemy in the Godzilla vs. Megalon movie, which means he is stronger than previous kaijus like Ghidorah, who can survive supernovas. And we know that a single cell of Biollante is capable of withstanding a black hole singularity and multiple supernovas, making her solar system to multi-galaxy level. But the black holes are stated to be the trap of the universe, and we know that the Godzilla cosmology is composed of multiple 4D dimensions. So this would make both kaijus and Godzilla solar system to Universal Plus. However, this Biollante has a weakness, as she is more like a real plant who needs water. Because when Hideo and his brother destroy the water tank, Biollante becomes so weak that she gets one-shotted by her own partner. Now in Chapter 3, Godzilla fighting with Mechanicon and Mechagodzilla 3, where both of them initially injured Godzilla quite a bit, but later Godzilla beats them black and blue. Now, this Mechagodzilla was also built using parts and technology from the old Mechagodzilla, where the old Mechagodzilla was created inside a black hole. The same black hole, which is a trap of the universe. And we also know that Showa Mechagodzilla has fought a stronger version of Showa Godzilla, who is equal or stronger than Zone Fighter, who is capable of fighting with 4D kaijus like Dorogo, I guess. It's also stated that Mechagodzilla can withstand his own beam reflected back 10 times stronger. Now, Kodansha Mechagodzilla scales to all of this, as he's just an alternative version of a Showa counterpart. So, you guys can easily get these kaijus into Universal Plus to possibly low multiversal. After this, we see Godzilla fighting Rodan, where Godzilla landed an atomic breath shot in his ass, but Rodan somehow survives that and carries Godzilla away. We then see Godzilla somehow got frozen. It's revealed later that this version is weak to the cold like a Showa counterpart, and maybe he also gets mind-controlled like Showa. However, he somehow revives himself by absorbing 2 nuclear submarines, and then he subsequently kills Rodan by tearing off his wings. Now, this Rodan would be stronger than the Showa 1, who can fight with 60s Godzilla, and they both together drove away Ghidorah, who have multiple planet-destroying statements, and he also born from a star and can absorb supernovas, etc. And in Chapter 5, Mad scientist future self from 28th century came back in time to defeat Godzilla. So they just revive a dead Ankylosaurus, who later becomes the new Anguirus in this timeline. But before that, they uses a time reversal on Godzilla that turns him into the Godzillasaurus. Their plan was to kill Godzilla in the past, which would also erase his existence from the future. This reminds me of a scene from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah movie, where time travelers prevent Godzillasaurus from ever becoming Godzilla, thereby erasing his existence from the world, but he somehow manages to come back. Godzilla then managed to return in his old self by absorbing more radiation, which reverses the effects of the time reversal. However, his body still hadn't fully recovered from the effects of time reversal, as he was still unable to use his atomic breath. But he still managed to defeat Anguirus by putting a missile into his throat, which exploded him from the inside out. And in the final page, Ghidorah and Gigan are seen flying towards Earth. Then in Chapter 6, Godzilla is capable of fighting against Generation 3 Ghidorah and beating him. However, during their fight, Godzilla sustained massive injuries from Ghidorah's attacks, while Ghidorah easily tanked Godzilla's regular base breath, but not the spiral breath, which easily cut off 2 of his necks like he did in the movie. Now, because of this fight, Godzilla became so weak that he fell into the sea, but Ghidorah somehow managed to escape from there. This version of Ghidorah scales above both Gen 1 and 2 Showa Ghidorah. Now, these two have multiple planetary to stellar scalings. Even the second generation Ghidorah that appears in Zone Fighter, where he fought 4D kaijus, and the first generation is stated to be stronger than the second. We know this timeline is connected with the Heisei movies too, meaning this version of Godzilla has already fought with Heisei Ghidorah, who is stronger than Showa Ghidorahs, and the Ghidorah he fought in this manga is stronger than any previous Ghidorah. Therefore, you can argue him upscaling Mecha King Ghidorah, who is able to break through the barriers of time into a realm above time and space. This ability allowed him to fly back in time to a different timeline, and he uses the same energy in his attacks. Thus, you guys can make a solid case for 5D. This is consistent because he already fought with Mothra and Batra, who were stronger than the mythological gods who beat the shit out of the motherfucker Orochi, who is stronger than kaijus that flies beyond dimensions. Even in a fight with Godzilla, their battle shattered multiple stars, which gives more stellar scalings. It's also stated that they fought for King of the Monsters' throne, but they all got folded by Godzilla. Then he fought with Ebirah and defeated him, but he somehow managed to freeze Godzilla. And then he fought with Gigan and easily defeated him as he got stronger by absorbing more energy. Both Ebirah and Gigan scale to their Showa versions that fought with Godzilla, but I think Gigan is weaker than most other kaijus, as he was able to hurt a weakened Godzilla, who was already weakened after fighting Ghidorah. And then he got frozen by Ebirah, but he was unable to hurt a stronger Godzilla. Now in the final chapter, we see Godzilla fighting against King Godzilla, who is a combination of Godzilla, Ghidorah, Biollante, and Batra. Now he's also stated to be Godzilla's strongest opponent, meaning he upscales every previous clone kaijus. Both are shown to be comparable in the manga, but then he lifted Godzilla into the air and dropped him onto a spine trap-like thing set by Mad Scientist, which pierced through his body and almost killed him. Then King Godzilla fought with Machine G, who capable of injuring the clone kaiju, but he still got folded by him so easily. But then Godzilla shows up as he absorbed a massive amount of energy by lightning bolts, which actually revives him, but also makes him stronger than before. Godzilla then managed to throw himself into an active volcanic crater, holding King Godzilla. Later, it was revealed that Godzilla had somehow killed the imposter, which is literally stated in the final page. So, you can get him anywhere from Solar System to low multiversal, or possibly 5D, as he only scales to Heisei's base. Speed-wise, he is immeasurable, as he defeated beings that flies beyond dimensions, or came from different periods of time. He haven't shown any resistances in the manga, but I think he upscales things that base Heisei can resist. Nothing much else to say. Well, I guess it's much for today's video. I see you guys next time.